Hi, and welcome on Mindset&Co. If you're new here, my name is Maureen, and here we talk about mindset, breathwork, and spirituality. If you haven't already, subscribe, and at the end of this video, you can like this video and you can also comment. So today we're going to chat about freedom. I thought it would be quite an interesting topic. It's something that came up for me pretty recently, and I really wondered, what was freedom, really? And I think everyone can come up with a different definition because we all want different things, and freedom will mean very different things for each and every one of us. But I found kind of a general definition online, and I thought it would be interesting to kind of know how it's described in dictionaries. So let's go. I'm going to read it for you. Freedom is, by definition, the condition or right of being able or allowed to do, say, think, etc., whatever you want to without being controlled or limited. So, when you think of freedom, what are you thinking about? What would be your definition of freedom? And usually you can come up with things like, maybe I want to work my own hours, so having flexibility. Maybe it can be financial freedom where I don't have to think about or worry about money anymore. And, a lot of different things. Everyone will come up with their own definition. So whatever your own definition is, don't hesitate to comment in the comment section below. I would love to know what freedom means for you. And what came up for me is freedom, in my opinion, is more of a mindset. And I'm going to come back to this. But I do believe it's really a mindset rather than the things that you do or say. And the reason why I don't believe we're really free, even though we have flexible hours, even though we can go on holidays and, not having to check our work phone or anything like that. It can be seen as a sense of freedom, but really it's a sense of control, because we still want to control our own lives. When we want or do certain things, we're not genuinely free. And that's okay, because this is part of the human condition where we always want more things and we always want to do things differently and not being told by anyone. But in reality, even when you're not told by anyone to do anything, you're still in control of your own life. And we still want to do these things or have flexibility, have financial freedom. We need to control these things around us. We need to say, oh, I want to do things this way. It's still a form of control, except that maybe before this was controlled by other people, but now it's controlled by you. So in a way, it is a sense of freedom because you are in control, or what we think we are in control of, our own life. But in reality, it is still control. So can we really be free, even, with all of these conditions that we put on our lives? And the way we even dream about that and don't even question it is when our life is controlled by others. So when you have to work 5 days a week or a certain number of hours and they control your lunchtime, it doesn't seem like we're in control of that. And humans always crave a certain sense of control, even though in life we don't really have control. It's an illusion, but this is another topic, maybe for another episode. But we do crave that control because it provides a sense of security in us. So I really don't believe that we can say we have freedom when we still want a sense of control. Now I'm going to come back to why I think it's a mindset. Because I think you can be in any type of place, in any condition, and you can feel free. Because freedom is really a feeling. It's inside your head. You don't have a paper that comes to you, and at least in modern days, that says, oh, you are now completely free. That doesn't happen, right? It's just in our heads. It happens in our heads. It's how we feel about freedom. So I think you can be in the most precarious situations or feel like you maybe don't have any control over your life, and yet feel like you have a lot of freedom. I just think that it's the sense of knowing that no matter what happens in your life, no matter what is happening around you, you just have this sense of peace. And I think that's why we don't attain long-term freedom. I think it's just like happiness. You're not always happy, right? There never will be this moment where you're completely happy. But when you can sense that you are in alignment with who you are and where you want to be, yes, you will have hard moments, but you will still be happy. I do believe it's the same with freedom. I don't think, we have freedom, we don't feel like we have freedom all the way, because it's a mindset. And mindset cannot be completely sustained, because we always have things happening in our lives, and we always have, strong emotions varying according to where we are in our lives. So I don't think we feel free all of our lives for the rest of our lives, or constantly free. But I do really think that we can have this sense of peace, inside peace, inner peace, that, even when things around you happen, you still feel okay, and you still feel at peace within yourself. I do really believe that that's the freedom. Freedom comes from within and not necessarily from external. External situations can help to feel the peace within, to feel the freedom within. But I do really believe that it first comes from inside, from how we feel and how we react to things and to situations in life. And it's so easy to, feel trapped when you start having the things that you want and you thought it would be freedom. It's so easy to feel trapped, because we do have patterns and we do have things that we used to that we are going to replicate from before. A perfect example for me that I can give you right now is when I transition would be the word, from employee life to entrepreneurial life. And I thought this was the ultimate freedom for me, and that I would feel, really good. And I did, honestly, a big chunk of it, and made me feel this sense of freedom, because I could choose my own hours. I could work the days that I wanted, take as much as holidays or less holidays as I wanted, without being constrained by anyone else. So it meant freedom for me. But I realized that there was another type of freedom, which was my mind. I was caged in my mind, because I still had an employee mindset. I still had this employee mindset where I was a little bit of a slave to my work, because I was constantly thinking about it. And if you're an entrepreneur, you know that sometimes, depending on the job that you have, obviously, but you can leave your work at your desk and just come back to it the next day, and that would be okay. When you're an entrepreneur, because it's your business, it's your baby, you're always constantly thinking about it, and it creates a sense of just the opposite of freedom. So this is how I felt in my mind. In my days, in my daily life, externally, I was feeling pretty free. Like I mentioned, I could have my own hours. But inside my mind, I felt still trapped into that employee mindset and into, the work that I was doing every day. And I really understood that, you can work in an office job. And even though somebody else is telling you which days you're supposed to work and everything, you can still feel free if you put your boundaries. And maybe it's, the job that you really want and you feel aligned with it, and you have, maybe if you wanted a lot of holidays, you have a lot of holidays. And maybe if you just wanted work-life balance, they give you that. And maybe you didn't have before, then now you have this sense of freedom. And I really understood at that moment that it was really a mindset, and I needed to have the boundaries necessary and defining, okay, what is freedom for me? And, more time passed, and the less shallow, if I can say, I was becoming, because I was becoming less materialistic into the things that I wanted. It was less about the material things that I wanted and more about how I wanted to feel and who I wanted to be. And putting those strong boundaries is still something that I'm learning, and I will constantly learning. And if you're listening to this and you feel like you already have your boundaries in place and your sense of freedom and you know what you want, it's something we'll always attune, and we always find and attune with, you know, the time that passes, and that definition of freedom will change. And I really do believe that the end intention in this is to come up with the result that freedom is a mindset and it comes from within, and we need to have this sense of peace and tranquility within before we can really feel free in any other area of our lives. And I've seen also so many people feeling trapped, you know, and thinking that they could travel the world and do all these things and they would feel this sense of freedom because they were, you know, escaping something and never really putting roots somewhere. Then they were free because there was no constraint of anything. You know, when you settle somewhere, there's obviously things that you need to do in order to stay in the country or in the place that you're staying, such as paying rent, maybe having a bank account from the country there, like all of these things when you're settling somewhere that you need to do. And by constantly traveling, that's just an example I'm giving, but by constantly traveling, you're not putting any roots in there. And there's, to some people, this sense of freedom, but you can travel the world and never feel free one second in your life and still feel trapped into your mentality. And I think everything is connected. You know, I've talked about happiness, I've talked about gratitude before, and now we're talking about freedom. And I do really believe that when you bring gratitude every day into your life and feeling grateful for the things that you already have in the present moment that you're in, instead of constantly thinking of the future, then you are able to bring that sense of freedom, that sense of happiness within your life. I think freedom really comes down to the little moments that we have. It's very much like happiness. You know, I think we link a lot freedom to happiness because when you think of freedom, maybe you think of yourself smiling and just feeling free and, you know, nothing is holding you back. And now that I'm thinking about it, why it came up to me as a mindset is because when I had my Mindset&Co experience, if you haven't seen it, it's in the episodes before. Mindset&Co is a psychedelic experience. And so when I had it, I had this sense that, you know, nothing really mattered and that everything would be okay. And that I was running in a mountain, in a valley. It was a hill. Sorry, the word in English is a hill. I was running in a hill in the sun and I felt really good and I felt free. To me, that was freedom. And I really understood that, you know, it's just about how I felt. That was freedom for me. It's about feeling this sense of I'm okay no matter what happens. And I think we still, you know, in the society that we live in, and especially marketing, conveying all those messages that, oh, if you have the next product, if you have this or that, then you are going to be happy. And when you accumulate all these things, you realize that it doesn't matter how much you have. If you just still have that lack mentality and you don't bring any gratitude into the things that you have, then it doesn't matter how many things you'll have because you will never be truly happy, or you will never have this sense of happiness. And you know, I remembered, I give a lot of personal example, but recently I was thinking about how when I was little, the thing that would really truly make me happy and where, you know, I would feel it in my heart when I was little was when, for example, after school there would be an activity, or after school I could go to my best friend's place and we could play and we would have dinner together and I would have a sleepover. And you know, when there would be something fun at the end of the day at school and I didn't have to worry about anything, and that brought me really a big sense of joy. And you know how you feel freedom when you're a young child because you don't have any of those responsibilities usually. And how now it's hard for me to feel this feeling of gratitude, and it's something I really need to practice. I really need to stop for a moment and say, okay, I'm feeling it in my heart, feeling it expanding. But when I was little, I could immediately feel it. I didn't have to think about it. When I was just, thinking about, oh, I'm going to be with my best friend after school, I was illuminating, I was brighting. That's not a word. I was shining bright. Yes. I was, there was such a big light around me and I could feel it in my heart, and it was just natural. It was coming to me naturally. And I've kind of lost that in my adult life. And, I'm sure many people can relate to that. And if you do, please send me a message to tell me about it, because I really do believe that it's something that we lose over time in our adult life. But when we're little, we have this sense of freedom and the sense of everything's going to be okay. The sense of bliss a little bit. That's how I would put it, sense of bliss. And so, I do really believe that it has to come from within, and we have to practice gratitude and feeling okay in the moment. Okay, I do believe that I have to leave you with this. There's a lot of noise around me at the time being. This is the end of day that I'm filming this. And so I still want to have, a little bit of quality in my audio. And this is it for today. But don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and comment. I would love to see you in other videos as well. You can check on the channel. And I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.